You have to play live. To make music is one thing, to play music is another thing. You can't get this energy any different way than playing.
AIRTO, thank you so much for coming by. I have followed your playing in all the depths of different musical situations that you've played in, and each one has been so inspiring in what you have done. I've heard you play live several times, and you never cease to amaze me. So I thank you so much for joining us here at the sessions.
You're very welcome.
Thanks.
Actually, something like this is very good. I feel very good to do it, okay? Because I know that it's positive, and you have good questions.
Thanks. You know, it's amazing because, I mean, I go back to Miles' albums, Bitches Brew, and just hearing you play, and you always, you know, played exactly what was needed for the song, the right percussion sound, the right pattern. It was amazing how what you deliver to the music. Where did this all begin for you back in the early days of Brazil?
Well, I was a kid, and we lived in South Brazil, in a very small town.
Yeah.
I used to play a lot, you know, with the other guys. The kids, we used to go and everywhere, you know, not playing music, but just playing, you know, ourselves. And as long as I went to school, then it was okay for my mom to say, okay, go for 1 hour now, you know, and then you come back. If you're not here, you know what is going to happen. So I started making sounds and out of things, you know, the garbage pile, or you know, or even you know, the trees. You know, some of them they have things that you can make sounds. But so that's, you know, that's the way I got introduced to percussion, really, and. Was no nobody told me, like, you know, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, you know, but I didn't even know what I was doing. But I was making little shakers out of like old cans and things like that.
And was there music around that you were listening to at all? Was there?
Not really. There was the radio. We didn't have electricity, so the radio was hooked up to a car battery. I don't know how they did that. And my father used to sit down for an hour and listen to the news about the war, you know. And I was, you know, and then they would play. There was the BBC in London, you know. They had like the Brazilian hour. I think they still have it. And so my father was listening to that, and so on and so on. And the songs that they played, there was all different kinds of music. Actually, it was, you know, some old big bands from United States or from England,
yeah.
or a rumba, you know, some rumbas and guarachas and mambos, and so it, you know, I would listen to all of that, not really knowing that I was getting charged for later on. You know, it was really funny because there were some people, some musicians that they lived around, and they were accordion players. Actually, I got to play with one of them. Okay.
That's incredible, but it sounds like that car battery charged more than just the radio. It sounds like it charged up you yourself too.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So what happened? So you started playing. Did you start to formalize any kind of musical situations to play with other people and develop a musical group at all? How did that evolve?
Next to us, there was an accordion player, the Italian guy, and he used to play, you know, like, you know, outdoors, you know, for himself, you know. And then I would watch him. I think he saw me that I had some percussion, you know, some little beep beep, you know, those things. And he asked me, "You want to play with me one day?" You know? And I said, "Well, yeah, sure." And then he played something, and I played with him. And then, you know, we played together for maybe 15 minutes or, you know, a little more. And then he said, you know, you could be a musician. You know, and I said, oh, you know, there was, you know, to me it was like, oh, wow, you know, I could be a musician, wow, you know, because I heard the radio all the time. And then he asked me, my father and my mother if they would let me go with him sometime and play some gigs, you know. And of course it took about almost a month for them to say, well, okay, you know. So I went. We used to go on a horseback ride. He was in front of the horse, and I was sitting at the back with a little bag over here with 3 or 4 things, you know, that I had made.
Yeah.
And he had the accordion, and we used to go sometimes for 6 hours, man.
On horseback.
Yeah. Like 6 hours to get to the gig, because the gigs, they were like, you know, people getting married and somebody's anniversary,
celebrations,
or you know, happy birthday. And it was, most of the time, it was like a big, huge ranch with a lot of land, and they were actually 80% of the time they were like from Europe, because they escaped. You know, they went to Brazil after the war or during the war.
Right, right.
And they bought land, and they were developing the land, making sure that there was, like, you know, fruits and trees and, you know, everything, vegetables and everything.
Beautiful.
And they would sell to the people on the small towns, you know, around them. So we would get there, it would be like a big celebration, about 200 people there or whatever. And to me it was like huge, you know. and then we would rest for a while, and we would start playing. And we would start around 8:30, 9 o'clock p.m. And we would finish around 4:30, 5 sometimes. You know, sometimes the sun was coming, you know, up, and then they say, okay, that's it. And the pay was, from time to time, I would get the hat, you know, you'd give me a hat, and I would go like this.
You'd pass the hat around.
People, yeah. So that was the pay. But he paid me. I mean, he gave me some money. And for my parents, it was very good. But
so then after the party, you had to hop back on that horse.
Yeah, well, we would sleep.
Oh, you sleep over there?
Yeah,
Okay,
we would
good.
sleep. Anywhere, you know. I love it, you know, to sleep outdoors, because I could, you know, look at the stars. You know. I was dreaming, you know, I was tripping, and then we would sleep for 5-6 hours, and then go back. That was it.
And how long did that go on for? That went on for
about a year.
About a year of playing,
or a little less. Yeah.
So did you begin to develop an understanding of percussion and drumming? Was that a part of your developmental stage, I guess, right?
I didn't really know at that time. You know, all I knew is that I could be a musician.
Yeah.
You know, because he told me. I didn't really realize that I was playing percussion, because there was no percussion. There was just the radio. You know.
Yeah.
I made some other stuff. You know, I built some this and that with you know, wood, and metal, and things that I would go, you know. And then somebody had bird calls, and the guy was a truck driver. He was also Italian. And he said, I have some bird calls, you want it? And then he gave me this little box with bird calls. And I said, quack, quack, you know. And so, oh yeah, my bird calls, right. But I couldn't use it, because the music I was playing, it was not like bird calls, you know. There was a lot of birds around, but nobody was calling them. So that was like my first contact with percussion. And from there on, you know, other things happened.
So you're growing up now, you're in Brazil. Where was the next stage of how you began to become a professional musician? How did that start?
There was a football, you know, like soccer ball team.
Right.
that my father was involved with that. One time, I went with them, with my father, my mom, and my sister. She's older than I am. It was a carnival ball. So we got there, and they said, no, the kid cannot come in. I said, how come? You know, they start talking to the guy at the door. And then, after a while, my father, he talked to some other people and so on and so on. And finally they said, okay, he can come in, but he has to stay on the stage with the musicians. There was a little thing that was the stage. And that's what I wanted, anyways. I was there, I was sitting down and, waiting and waiting. And I was supposed to start at 8, this carnival ball. There, was nothing really weird about the carnival ball. Just because of the juiz de menores, just the kids, if they had any kids, because it was going to go until late, so the kids were not supposed to be there.
Right.
But everybody was waiting for the drummer. And the drummer was not showing up. The head of the band, he said, oh, he was a big man, big guy. And he said, do you know how to play the drums? And I said, the drums? I mean, yeah, because you come here in the matinees, which is Sunday afternoon is for the kids, and then I would sing, sit in, and sing and play some percussion. And he said, well, you do very well, in the matinees. So why don't you want to try to play the drums? I said, well, yeah. I watched, every time I can, I watch them playing. So I sat down and he asked me to play the 2 main rhythms in Brazil for Carnival time, right, which is march, marcha, marcha and samba, So the marcha is kind of a military kind of thing. It's like, and that's what the people, they really like, they like it, that kind of stuff. And then the samba was like a Carmen Miranda kind of thing. Or like, so I played. He asked me to play these 2 rhythms, and I played. And then he said, okay, you want to sit in? You want to play? You want to start? And when Edgar comes, then he would take over. He said, oh yeah, sure. My heart was like, So, okay, let's go. It's that kind of thing. And then, and I played until 4:30. With 2 breaks to get some soft drink or whatever. Yeah. I did it. I played a gig. The guy never showed up. And I played the gig. And then after everything, he said, okay, here. And he gave me like a roll of money, like this, He gave me like a roll with a little rubber band.
Nice.
He said, here. And I said, no, please, no, I don't, Because at home, they were, my father and my mother, they were very, very honest. They wouldn't take anything from nothing, from nobody.
But he was offering to pay you.
Yeah.
That's what that was. Yeah.
Then I said, no, I can't take it. He said, yeah, you can take it because this is Edgar's money. So this is yours because he didn't show up. And finally I said, okay, So he put the money in my pocket, whatever. So we left. And then after we walked for about 15, 20 minutes, it was raining like crazy, and the pitch black, like you can't see anything.
Stormy, wow.
You have that little flashlight going like this. So I said, oh, by the way, Mom, look. And everybody stopped. What? What are you doing? What did you do? Nothing. Peter gave to me, Mr. Peter. And I said, no, 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 no. And you took it? No, you wouldn't do that. But I said, please, you know what, I had no, you know, I start crying and all that stuff. I was almost 14 years old. And they just had back to the place. Let's go back. So we walked, and it was raining and all that stuff. And then when we got there, they were coming out, you know, putting instruments on the track or something, you know, a little track. And my father said, I'm very sorry. My son took this money from you and can't do that. You know. I said, no, no, that's his money. No, it's not his money. It's your money. Well, it's my money, but I gave it to him. And then they start going back and forth and back and forth. And I was like, oh my God, you know, what is going to happen? Because I thought they were going to fight or something like that.
This is reverse negotiation.
Oh, man.
He wants to give you the money, and your parents are giving it back.
Oh, man.
And Chris, so what happened?
Well, finally, he convinced he didn't. He did the same thing he did with me. He put the money in his pocket, in my father's pocket, and said, this is it. Don't even try to do anything. Otherwise, I'm going to just throw this money away. Eu jogo o dinheiro fora, you know. And my mom was like, yeah, get it, you know, take it. Because my mom was the head of the family, you know.
Nice.
Okay. And then we went home, and they counted. And that was enough money. Actually, my father was a barber. And he had to work for 3 days, like on a weekend, to make that money.
Wow.
3 days. And I made the money in 8 hours. I don't know what they thought about it, but they didn't go, oh yeah, good, so let's, you know. It was not like that. And so I was a professional musician then.
At that point, that's the beginning of it all.
Yeah. And I played with them. By the way, they went to my house again and again and again. I mean, Peter, you know, Pedro. Yeah. And again and again. And he was talking to them, talking to, you know, my parents, blah, 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 blah. And finally, you know, they said, okay, well, he can do things on the weekend because, you know, he's going to school. But you have to take care of him. No drinking, no this, no that. You know, there was no drugs at that time.
Right.
It was just drinking, you know. But musicians, they were notorious for drinking, just, you know, something. No musician, no, you know. So here I go. So I played with them almost every weekend, and I made some good money. And I helped, you know, but I was always involved with rhythm.
Was there a point where you began to take it more seriously now that you were getting paid, take it more seriously? Did you start to develop drums more in your life? Was it?
Almost everything that I was doing had rhythm. I was involved with this kind of thing. I didn't even know exactly. I used to shoe shine. I was a shoe shines at my father's barbershop. And of course, you know, this is not the only story about that, but I was going, everybody liked it. So everybody wanted to have a shoe shine because it was funny, you know, or it was fun or whatever. And on the weekends I would go when the shop was closed. I would go where the bus they stopped, you know. And there was more people there, so I had my little. There is a little box here made of, you know, by hand, and you put everything inside, and then I go shoe shine. Then okay, and then I go like this, and there's a place there you put your
foot.
You know, your foot. They had to stand up.
Yeah.
Then put foot, and I go, and then all that. So I had my customers, you know, that they wanted me to do that. And then my mom, she gave me some money. She was giving me some money to go to the movies. That was like black and white, of course. You mentioned, he mentioned John Wayne.
Yes.
You know, but something like that, you know, like in Far West, you know. Randolph Scott.
Randolph Scott, absolutely, old school
See?
movie, exactly.
Zorro,
Yeah.
Tonto, you know, all that stuff.
So you're watching American movies now at this point.
Yeah. There was like no Brazilian movies at that
Yeah,
time.
right.
No Brazilian. So anyways, that's the way I developed. Until, of course, I played with a better band, and I played better gigs, and I made a little less money, but they were good. I love it because there was a good band, and they had a trumpet player, and a piano player, acoustic piano, acoustic bass, and I was a singer, and I was a percussionist, and somebody played drums. Then I was a drummer, but I was also a percussionist because I played with them for about 6 months. I played percussion, and then I started playing drums. They asked me. So, but I was always like, okay, percussion, that's the thing, you know. I think that's, you asked me a question about when there was clear to me that I was a percussionist, right?
Yeah.
I think that's, with that band, that was clear to me that I was a percussionist, that was playing percussion.
So you noticed that, you know, that you saw the difference between the percussion instrument that you were making and the actual drum set. These were two different areas.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
That's what happened. Actually, there was no difference, man. You know, I knew because I knew I was doing it, but my feeling was the same. See, my feeling was the same if I played percussion, or if I sang, or if I played drums.
So you had this natural feeling for rhythm, and that was just inside of you that you were discovering all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Just this natural feeling, you had it. So how did that bring you to the U.S. and even with Miles? How did you even end up, how did that happen?
Well, I mean, I didn't even know who Miles was in Brazil, you know. So this was already in Curitiba. Curitiba is the capital of the state of Paraná.
Right.
And my parents, they moved, you know, to that city, and it was pretty big. It was nice. And my mom took me, you know, by hand, okay, you know, by her, and because she met somebody that was playing with this band. There was a 14-piece band, and she said, "Can you try? You know, can you give it a try? My son he sings really well, and he plays drums, and also he plays the shakers and everything." And the head of the band was nice enough to say, "Okay, let's do number 14, you know, whatever." And then they started. Of course, they told me, "Oh, we're gonna play this song, ba 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 ba," you know. Then they played the intro, and he looked at me like, and I went la, and I started singing, and he liked it. And I could sing. I was singing an octave higher than the singers in the band.
Interesting.
But I sang really well, you know, in tune and everything. And so he said, "Okay, yeah, I can use him, you know, sometime, you know, but because you know he can sing the samba canção, which is like a Brazilian ballads, you know." And then I knew like everything because of the radio. And then I played drums, you know, about 3 or 4 times with the band, because I already knew the arrangements. I would get everything like that, very, very, very fast. But I was never a drummer with that band. I sang and I played percussion. And there was no congas.
Right.
No.
So it was just,
no,
were the percussion products that you made with, you know, homemade stuff? Was this handmade?
Well, by then, my mom bought me some percussion,
Okay.
some shakers, because there was percussion there.
Okay.
There were, you know, and she also bought me a mandolin, those things, they have like thousands of strings.
Yeah, yeah.
No, not thousands, but they're doubles, string like. And I just, oh my God, I'm gonna have to play this. This is terrible, But of course, I didn't make it. So she sold it to somebody. Then I moved to San Paulo, and the whole thing started.
That's the big city.
To smell kind of funny. Ooh. And I'm not gonna say, I'm gonna tell like everything that I went through, blah blah blah, because that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But Sao Paulo.
You met more players in San Paulo.
Oh.
Right, many more players. There's so much more music there, and is that where you started to understand your idea of music? Was that where you?
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
You're right. Because I had to hassle to play.
Right.
It was not somebody, oh, he's so nice, come and play with us. It's not like that.
Right.
There was like, who are you? What are you doing? And it was a Ponto dos Músicos, which is like the musicians' place, which was two main arteries, like avenues that they crossed, And there was a bar there, which, they had sandwiches, some other stuff. But the main thing was like,
To drink, yeah.
Musicians, they would go there and drink and talk and everything. But that was the time that we got gigs, because, the promoters or whoever they were, okay, I need a bass player for the 26, blah, blah, blah. Okay, me, there was like something like that.
This was like a network area where musicians networked, and people that wanted to hire musicians would come to this area.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. This is like the current internet. This is how they were meeting each other. Yeah.
It's like hands-on, and outdoors, and it was like wow. But to me, it was hard because nobody knew me. And I didn't have friends there. And to make friends in a place like that was hard.
So you moved there. You didn't know anybody there. Where'd you live? Did you find a place to live? Or?
I lived in pensão. They call pensão, which is like little places that that they have rooms with one bed and nothing else.
Right.
And you to go to the bathroom, you have to go somewhere, like
different to go
in a
away.
building,
Yeah.
and and then in middle of the night, whatever. They had no food or anything, of course. In order to eat, then was kind of hard because I had no money. But I met some women that they liked me a lot. I was very young and I was good looking, and I sang really well.
Yeah.
So my singing again, So they would give me things, even some money sometimes, and I would take it and just go and do whatever I had to do, pay one more month, or
survive.
just
Absolutely.
eat something.
Yeah.
But I slept in out there, on a square. There was one of the main squares there that the homeless people, they would sleep there. But not so many people, maybe 5, 6 people, and I was one of them. And but I was not homeless. I didn't feel like that at all. I was just taking a nap, and then next day go and try to get some work. Then I was playing in nightclubs, and so that was a little more, much more sophisticated. Women, they were like imported from Paraguay, Uruguay, and there was like a big network of, of like the whole thing of, and so I worked like that for quite a while. I mean, over a year, and then other things happened.
And you made enough money to survive there.
Yeah.
So from San Paulo, where'd you go from there?
Actually, I met some people there, some artists, some singers, that they were very good singers. Gilberto Gil, or Caetano Veloso, or like some older people already, and they were working. They were working most of the time. So they hired me, and I would go and play with them. And then was a band. There was Guimarães. Guimarães was and his band. There was a dance band. They travel all over Brazil. No, they didn't play no capitals, no big cities, just small cities, and by a Kombi, you know, the Volkswagen bus, you know, the old one.
That's right.
And then we go 7 people, and all the equipment and luggage on top. So I did that for about 7 months, 6, 7 months. And so I got to know Brazil, because there's Northeast Brazil, in small towns, they don't understand if you are from like a small town. In South Brazil, they don't understand what you're saying.
Right,
and it's still like that.
Absolutely.
And then from there, I wanted to come to the States. Actually, I was part of two great experiences for me. There was the San Balanço trio, and I became one of the best trios in Brazil, if not the best. And also Quarteto Novo. Quarteto Novo is really, still like today, musicians, they listen to Quarteto Novo. And those bands, you know, the San Balanço trio, we start playing with this, well, anyways, from somebody showed up, this bass player, in one of the nightclubs that I was playing, and he said, you know, I got to talk to you. So he talked to me about this trio that he was forming, this trio. And it was the San Balanço trio. And he said, we're going to play this place that they just finished. They don't have a band yet. We're going to be the band. It's a place where people, they don't dance, they just listen. And I went like, what? How come? You know?
Everything you did before that was all dance music.
All dance.
So this is the first time that you're experiencing people to just listen.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I didn't want to leave the place that I was playing, because the band was great. You know, it was like a quintet. And that was the name of the place was João Sebastião Bar, like B-A-R. João Sebastian Bar. Most of the society, high society, they went to that place. And we didn't play jazz. I didn't play jazz yet. But they were there, and they were, you know, like talking to each other very, you know, like, yeah, and they respected the music so much. And there was like a Matarazzo, which is a family that they only have, at that time they owned like half of the state of San Paulo and everything. I played there for maybe 2 years, almost 2 years. And everything was really fast, you know. And then I started playing with Quarteto Novo, which was Hermeto Pascoal. We formed the Quarteto Novo. And was Heraldo do Monte on guitar, and was Teófilo de Barros on bass, acoustic bass, and acoustic guitar, and myself. So that was the quarteto, the new quartet, Quarteto Novo.
Right.
And that, like, really took it off. It was very, very good.
And you performed where?
We played in Rio, in San Paulo, mainly.
Right.
And it was, for a while, I was playing with both bands. I was playing with San Balanço and Quarteto Novo. And with San Balanço Trio, we rehearsed this show. There was an incredible show. They used to call pocket shows, because it was a small club, probably like this, you know, or maybe a little bit, you know, bigger. Yeah. And they would have like a show like it was on Broadway or something like that, like lights, and you know, you were playing. The band was there, the trio, but the people, they were singing and dancing. They would go from here over there, from over there. It was really like a show. and we were supposed to play. We were to play 3 months there, which was a lot. And we ended up playing 7 months.
Which is Incredible.
You know, and Jobim, Antonio Carlos Jobim used to go there.
Yeah.
And the people, you know, that he was hanging out with. So that I was already flying.
So now you're a full-time musician. You stopped the shoe shining. You're into music.
Yeah.
Basically, right? That's serious. When did you get to America?
1967.
Okay.
My lady, Flora Purim,
Yeah.
she came to America.
So she came
Before
first.
I did. Yeah,
Right, okay.
she came first.
Right.
And she used to write me all the time because it's, you know, no phone or it was too much money. But she was, every day I would get a letter from her. Hey, why don't you come here? I'm in California. Sergio Mendes is here. And, you know, like, you know, a bunch of musicians, Brazilian.
And at that time, Sergio Mendes in Brazil '66
That's right.
was huge.
Boom, yeah.
Huger than you can imagine. Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah. I really wanted to come here. And not so much because of the music, but because of Flora. Because Flora turned me on to something, to some kind of music that I never thought that existed. I was visiting her in Brazil, in San Paulo, in an apartment. And, you know, there was a lady working there, and she was cooking some food. And we were sitting there, you know, having some whiskey, because in Brazil, you know, whiskey is, oh, wow. You know, I don't know why. But, and then I heard this sound, incredible sound. Wow, and I couldn't believe it, you know, it got me really, really deep, you know. I was, ooh. And then I felt like crying. And I was gonna cry anyways. I couldn't, you know, I couldn't hold it. And so I told her, I'm sorry, you know, I'm really sorry. I feel like crying with this music. I don't know. And she said, oh yeah, this is natural. You are a musician. And this is Miles plus 19. That was Miles with Gil Evans. And she said, this is music sensitivity, it's called. And I go, wow. And I'm crying already, so it's too late. But she introduced me to that kind of jazz. And in San Paulo, I heard other jazz. And I was playing jazz also.
Yeah.
There was a little place at a club that was the Canja, Clube dos Amigos do Jazz. You know? So, you know, it's like a friend, the Jazz Friends Club. And I used to go there and, you know, and jam and all that. And so I knew then what jazz was. And I was playing jazz. I was one of the best jazz players in Brazil. But when I came to the States, then I found out that I had never played jazz. That was all like...
What do you think it was about Miles' music? What was it about his music that you think touched you so much? I know it was sensitive, it was compassionate music. What was it about that music that grabbed you?
The sound, you know, the sound of it, the arrangements and everything, they were so together, you know, they're so, you know, oh my God, you know, it's like, it was just magic, total magic. Yeah. Then I couldn't think of anything else. I was like, oh, this is it. This is
Could
so
you
beautiful.
have imagined from hearing Miles that first time that you would end up playing with him?
No. You know, nobody told me this is Miles Davis.
Yeah.
Not even Flora. She said, you know, because, you know, she knew it.
Yeah.
She was much more advanced than I was in jazz, you know. That's why she came here.
Yeah, she's a beautiful, beautiful artist.
And, but then, you know, of course, over here in America, I learned who was Miles Davis.
Right.
But I played with other people also before I played with Miles. I played with, actually, my mentor. That was Cannonball Adderley.
Oh.
Because, you know, he was so strong and so, you know, like the rhythm again.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
There was Roy McCurdy on drums.
Roy was just fantastic.
And Walter Booker.
Yes, yes, yes.
And George Duke.
George Duke playing piano, absolutely.
Okay. Or Joe Zawinul. Joe Zawinul.
So you met Joe there at, with Cannibal
Yeah.
Alley and George. So it sounds like your networking contacts were widening now.
Yeah, yeah. And without even knowing that, but I would go to places at the village and, and meet people. Or, I didn't speak English when I got here, at all. Not even I love you, or I hate you. So, but I learned on Sesame Street. That's the way I learned to. That's the way I start speaking English and understanding, because it was a very good thing, man.
That is amazing. So you're watching American television, Sesame Street. You're learning English while you're starting to perform, and you're performing with Cannibal Adderley, with all these great musicians.
And
you're now teaching yourself English. Amazing, absolutely amazing, amazing.
It was great, because they show like an apple, right?
Yeah.
You go, and then the little kid comes, oh, what is that? Apple. Apple. And I go, oh yeah, apple, uh-huh. And at that time, my head was still clear. Right now, I wouldn't learn anyway. There's a lot of stuff in my head, but I learned like the first steps, and then I could understand. First, you see, like in a foreign language, first you speak and then you understand.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. First you go blah 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 blah, and then you understand.
Right.
So I learned. I met not a lot of guys, but I met about 30 musicians. I didn't even know that they were so notorious, and they were great players.
Yeah, yeah.
And everybody was playing together. I'm going to go on a little more.
Yeah, no, so at this point with Cannibal Adderley, you're playing. Is that what led you into Weather Report with Joe Zawinul?
No, see, Cannibal, I say that he was my mentor, because he was. He signed some immigration papers for me in Florida, saying that I worked, we were working with him, and he was paying us like $400 a week, and then John Levy, which was the manager, he said, how did you do that? You crazy? These people from Brazil, if they decide, they're going to get a lawyer and sue you, and you're going to have to pay them for the rest of your life $400 a week, each one of them, blah blah blah. And Cannibal said, no, they are fine. They are fine people. Yeah. And then of course, then before that I was playing with him, from time to time, with other people too. Then I started recording, with George Benson, and that was a CTI thing.
Right.
And one day there was a record label, Sky Records, which Gary McFarland, he was vice president, and he was a great musician, great arranger and everything. And I met him, and then he was doing an album that became a very important album that is called America the Beautiful, which on the cover there is a bird that represents America, but he's crying, and so, and his album was all about that America was not, was very hard for America at that time, and so on and so on. So people, they love it, and he said, do you want to record an album? And I said, yeah, sure. and I recorded this album that never came out because the company folded,
Oh.
And nobody, I tried to find, I don't know where it is, nobody knows what it is, and probably was a good album. But in reality, my first album that was out and good was with CTI, Creed Taylor Incorporated.
Yeah.
Natural Feelings.
So at this point now, did you start to do more recordings? Was that did that open the door of more recordings?
Yeah. With Ron Carter, he helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Ron, because I never learned how to read music until today. And I would accept any gig, recording, because it was a good money and it was good music. But then I started doing commercials and things like that, and then it requires more discipline, which was something that I didn't have. I didn't know where to start and where to stop. And Ron, I talked to Ron one day and I said, can you help me? Because, I don't know, sometimes just, I have to stop before it happens, and I don't know where to start, when to start. And he said, okay. And he was, smoking his pipe. And Ron was funny. Not funny. Ron was very serious, by the way.
Yeah.
But he would go to the session. It's this big band, and then he would get a newspapers and read the newspapers, and smoking his pipe and reading the newspapers. The band would be rehearsing or just going over things, and Ron would go, would be there reading the newspapers. And they go, okay, let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And Ron, boom, bam, bam. He read everything, and everything was right. And then when it was to stop, and he would look at me and go like this, like quickly, and I would, and then because of the chord progression,
right,
I knew where it was going to happen. I just didn't know if it was really going to happen or not. So he would say, okay, and then and I go, boom, okay. Then I start playing, all percussion. He's still like a good man. He helps a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's funny. Many of these names that you're mentioning, what's important about the viewers of this interview and this conversation is that they listen to the names that you're mentioning and go and do the research. To research who Ron Carter was, to research Cannibal Adderley. These are great names, Flora Purin, great names of artists that the next generation should really understand.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It's extremely important. So many people that you have played with in the course of your life. It's absolutely amazing the amount of people. Is there any one recording that stands out more that meant the most to you?
The Loud Minority. Elvin Jones was on drums, and the music was some out music, out, all written, but then there was a time that everybody would go, and that was hard, because I was not used to play that kind of music.
Yeah.
And they were going crazy, I thought, well. And it was one of the songs I'll never forget in my life. Then the music started going, it was so loud. In my headphones, I couldn't hear percussion at all. So I picked up my suitcase that was, full of percussion, and I grabbed these Shure microphones and I put it inside of the suitcase and I closed, and I went like this. And then, we finished, that song. Okay, let's listen to it. I thought, now they're gonna bust me. And everybody, they listened and they said, great, sounds good. Nobody even noticed that. So, that record, that recording, it's called The Loud Minority. And that was something that you don't forget, never forget anymore. I remember I took pictures with Elvin and,
That's amazing, with the amount of artists that you've performed with, AIRTO, and just all the different projects that you have been involved with, and you're still involved with these things. It's amazing what drives you. What drives you to keep on going with this?
It's just the music is so beautiful. It's the energy of the music. It's the energy of the music. Because music is energy. The performing is the most important kind of music that you can make. So as long as I can play for people, with other people, with other musicians, this is incredible. This is just beautiful, because you get everybody's energy, and then at the same time, your spirit, which is you, because we are our spirit, it just goes in all this energy. That's why the people, they go, wow, incredible, because it goes out and then it comes back from them.
Yeah.
And this energy just shoots up in the sky. I don't know where it goes, but it's very serious.
Well, it seems like that car battery that charged the radio, that allowed you to hear all that great music, that eventually that music charged you, and now with all of your playing, you have charged us. It really has been that clear of a cycle.
Yeah, now that you put it this way,
really
I agree with you. Oh wow!
It's amazing, AIRTO. How would you, in closing, AIRTO, if you had to think about young kids watching this, and they're inspired to play music, what would you say to them in closing that would give them an understanding of music through your eyes?
You have to play live. To make music is one thing, to play music is another thing. You can't get this energy any different way than playing. We don't play by ourselves. We don't listen to something and go be ba, which is fine with me. I used to be really against this years ago, but then I learned that this is creativity also.
Yeah.
And this is now. I'm 75 years old. I realized this also. If you guys can play something, just play some shaker, whatever, and try to play with somebody else. Just, jam a little bit. You don't have to be a great musician.
Yeah.
It's just, it's very easy, really. Even though you don't think so, but it is, It's very easy, man. This is playing. That's why it's called playing. You play, I not just respect, what you're doing now. It's okay, I have nothing against it. Again, I can say that. And by the way, I get involved with this sometimes, People, they ask me to play in something, and then, they send me whatever it is, and I listen and say, okay. Sometimes I say, no, I can't do that. I am busy or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of times that I just go and I play, and it's fine. And it's always in overdub. Or 90% of the time is overdub. So I go, pronto. And then they make whatever they want. Yeah. It's funny. One time I was. I got a call to record with Herbie Hancock, and I did, I played with him before, but, before that. But, so I went there to the studio at his house. He has a beautiful studio there. And he was not there. So I was like, okay, is Herbie in? No, and then two guys, okay, you're here to write? Yeah. Okay, come in, And they were the producers. So they played something for me and said, okay, this is, we want you to play on this. I said, oh, okay. So the thing started and I went, okay, great. And I said, yeah, but I didn't play on this yet. Oh, no, you did. We're gonna edit this and put in different parts of the song. And I said, oh, okay, let's do the next one. And then, that's it. Oh, okay, great. So I played in 4 songs or 5 songs. And they said, thank you, Ayrton, that's beautiful. So as I was leaving, Herbie was coming in because he was somewhere, you know. So I said, hey, Ayrton, so how are you doing? Oh, fine, fine. So how's everything here? They said, well, I'm done. Oh, you're done? And they said, yeah, he's done. That's fine. Everything's cool. All right. Good, man. Thank you. You know, he checks on the mail, you know, something like that. And then that was it. I played in one of Herbie Hancock's new albums because he was into that already, that kind of, and he was doing very, very well.
So a whole different way of recording, a whole new world, and challenges in the music industry.
You know, a challenge is a challenge. Like, you know, I was Miles Davis. I had challenged with him. You know, I had challenge in Brazil with those 2 bands that I told you.
Yeah.
And then I had a big challenge with Miles because of that. The concert, the Isle of Wight. There was over 600,000 people there. But before that, I was living with Walter Booker and his wife, Maria.
Yeah.
She's Portuguese. And I was sleeping on the floor. There was another 6 guys that, you know, we were all sleeping on the floor, you know. And there was a Thanksgiving Day. And everybody went somewhere, Thanksgiving, right? So I was by myself because there's no Thanksgiving in Brazil anyways.
Yeah, right.
And so I was there. And then the phone rang. It was Lee Morgan and Bob Crenshaw, bass player.
Right.
So, oh, is Booker there? I said, no, he's not here. Oh, who is there? Who, you know, I didn't speak English well at that time. So I said, nobody. You know, me, I'm here. You know. And he said, what? You by yourself? We're going to pick you up, Brazilian, because they used to call me Brazilian. So, so they came. But meanwhile, the phone rings again, and it was this guy that was saying, do you want to record with Miles Davis? And I said, huh? Nah, come on, man. No, don't. Nah, come on. Boom. And I hung up on him. And it was Miles' manager, right? So they came in, Lee Morgan, you know, and Bob Crenshaw. He said, okay, let's go to my house. Today is not a day to be alone. My wife is cooking and da-da-da-da-da-da. And so, okay. And the phone rings again. And then I went like this, and he picked it up. Okay, Will. All right, Will. Wait a minute. That's Miles Davis' manager. He wants you to record with Miles Davis on Monday. So I finally realized that was true. So I said, sure, yeah. And then, you know, so okay. Well, he wrote something down. So okay, you got to be at this place Monday, 10:30 in the morning. And then, you know, I went there to record. And that was the Beaches Brew sessions. And so I went, I got there, no rehearsal, nothing. Then we played. There was, you know, other musicians there, you know. Jacques Degenin was on drums, I remember. Yeah. And Wayne and some other people. And so Miles said, okay, let's do this, let's do that. And so after about 2 hours, Miles said, let's get out of here. This sounds like shit. You know? And so, oh, okay, man, all right. So everybody started, you know, packing this stuff. And I'm packing the percussion. And I was thinking, oh my God, that was me. That was because of me. Oh God. So I took the responsibility for that. And I just, oh my God. So I left and I was crying. I said, oh my God, how come? But then they called me again. You know, Jack called me again. And then said, Miles wants you to rehearse at his place. So I went to the rehearsal, and the rehearsal was kind of very disorganized, like, okay, play this, play that. And Wayne walked in, and then Miles said, "You got your book?" Because Wayne was, at that time, he was writing, most of the music for Miles. "You got your book?" I said, "Yeah." Then was okay. So we went through things, and then next day we went to record, and I think he liked it because he didn't say anything. He never said. I don't think he ever said, "I like this,"
Yeah.
So then I was, wow, so I recorded with Miles Davis. I can't believe
So you experienced the Miles Davis experience, and this had the chance to now that first sound that you heard when you came to America. Here you are playing with Miles. This is the full cycle of the dream come true.
Yeah.
That's really, really powerful when you think about it. That's probably the best message that any youngster can hear now. That if you continue to follow your passion and believe in what you're doing, and it seems like you constantly were learning. You were constantly trying to hear and learn and take in different rhythms and different types of music. That's amazing.
Then, like one day Miles said, "You want to go to Philly with us?" "Yeah, I want to go to Philly with you guys." "To play with the band?" "Yeah." I was like, wow, I'm going to play live with this band. Ooh, Davey Holland, Jack DeJohnette, with Chick Corea, and Wayne, of course. And I said, "Sure." He said, "But you're not going to make any money," he said. And I said, "That's okay. I'm not making money anyways. I don't make money, so I'm going to go. You got to get a place to stay." It was very hard, man. "Okay, well, I'll get a place to stay. I have some friends." I didn't have friends, but I wanted to go.
Yeah.
So, but then I stayed with Maria's, Walter Booker's wife's family, And I played 2 weeks on the club there, and it was just great, I played, I was like, okay, I'm playing with Miles Davis. I started going, "I'm playing with Miles," yeah. That was kind of, wait a minute. But, I had that kind of attitude. I can't lie. And then, then he said to me one time, oh no, after 2 weeks, he gave me some money.
So you did make money.
And I looked, just like a long time ago.
Like the first job when you got paid, he gave you the money.
He gave me some money. It was a good money. That I didn't see that kind of money, for a long time.
That is amazing.
And so I was playing with, and then one day I got a call from Sergio Mendes, and Brasil 66 or whatever, And he said, oh no, and then, so I went, because the phone at Booker's place, they had they was locked. They have a lock there. So nobody would try
dial on the phone, right?
to call Brazil. So I had to go outside. Cold, oh my God. So I went this, there was a phone booth. I dialed, put all these little coins, tick, 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 and I dialed Sergio Mendes. And Sergio said something like, okay, I want you to play with my band, Brasil 66. And you coming to California. And it's sunny over here. And, I'll get a house for you. And Bob, and I'll do this, I'll do that. We're going to rehearse, we're going to go out on a big tour. And so you coming here, I want you to play drums with me.
That's amazing.
So I said, okay, give me some time. I'll call you back. So I went to Miles' house, cold. And I knocked on the door. He opened this little window, he had that thing. What do you want? He said, what do you want? I said, Miles, I got to talk to you. About what? I said, can I come in? Can I talk to you for a second? Okay. And he opened the door, and I walked in, and he stayed right there in front of me so I wouldn't go in, And I said, Miles, I don't know. Am I playing with you? Because you never hire me, am I playing with the band? And he said, did you play last night? And I said, yeah. Are you playing tonight? I said, yeah. And he looked at me and said, so? So I got out of there and I said, yes, I'm playing with Miles Davis. That's it.
That is absolutely powerful. Airto, these stories are absolutely gems. What you have done and what you continue to do is absolutely amazing. On behalf of the sessions, we thank you so much. Your stories, you have charged me in your music and in your playing. This is powerful. Thank you so much.
Well, as I said before, I thank you very much.